In Star Wars, bounty hunting was a business, and like any good business, it had guilds. The most famous was the Bounty Hunters Guild, a galaxy-wide network with complexes on planets like Trandosha and Ord Mantell. It operated like a corporation, complete with local bosses, contracts, and a guild code. Break the code, and you were out or dead. Within the guild, there are a number of houses, syndicates, or specialized factions which the guild's most elite bounty hunters belonged to. Some syndicates focused on pirates, others hunted Jedi, some didn't care so long as the credits were good. The guild existed before the Clone Wars and reached its peak during the Imperial era, even working unofficially with Imperial intelligence. But during the Galactic Civil War, the guild completely imploded, torn apart by conflicts between the guild's old guard and the younger generation, conflicts that were secretly inflamed by Darth Sidious. This video is about the guild's syndicates, the elite specialists that gave the Bounty Hunters Guild its fame. Let's start with one of the boldest, the guild that hunted Jedi. Crimson Nova, Jedi Hunters for Hire. Among all the bounty hunter guilds operating during the Clone Wars, Crimson Nova stood out for one very specific and very suicidal reason. They accepted contracts on Jedi. While most guilds knew better than to mess with lightsabers and force pushers, Crimson Nova welcomed the challenge. Led by Mika, a fierce Fargle with a lifelong grudge against the Jedi Order, this syndicate gained a brutal reputation during the Republic's darkest days. Crimson Nova was active during the early years of the Clone Wars, and they weren't subtle about their business. Operating out of a base known as the Rig, a remote asteroid installation, they turned Jedi hunting into something between a professional sport and a personal vendetta. Their actions caught the attention of the Jedi Council, and not in a good way. Jedi Masters Mace Windu, Kit Fisto, Saesee Tiin, and Agent Kola infiltrated the Rig and raised some hell, sabotaging the station and causing chaos before confronting the Syndicate's leaders directly. Crimson Nova was dismantled from within, its leadership wiped out, and its facilities destroyed. But even in destruction, the guild left a mark. Their willingness to hunt Jedi during a war against the Jedi put them in a category all their own. This wasn't just about credits anymore. It was about power, about proving that no target was off limits, and for a brief moment, they almost made that myth real. Crimson Nova would get a second chance to prove itself after the end of the Clone Wars, when the chapter rebuilt itself to participate in the Great Jedi Purge. Crimson Nova hunters remained specialists in Jedi hunting until the time of the Galactic Civil War, with noteworthy Crimson Nova members including Zakus, Bosch, and Brila. In the broader bounty hunter ecosystem, Crimson Nova was a rogue actor. They didn't care about guild codes or political affiliations. They saw Jedi as high-value targets, not galactic peacekeepers. That made them attractive to certain Sith-aligned clients and a top priority for Republic intelligence. In many ways, Crimson Nova represents the extreme edge of what bounty hunter syndicates were willing to become during wartime. Bold, reckless, and ultimately doomed. House Benelex, the corporate bounty hunters. If Crimson Nova was chaos in a leather vest, House Benelex was the opposite, cold, corporate, and terrifyingly efficient. House Benelex specialized in kidnapping, retrieval, and prisoner capture, and they operated like a privatized law enforcement agency for the highest bidder. Wealthy enough to field entire teams of hunters at once, they often secured exclusive contracts with planetary governments, private clients, and even the Hutts. House Benelex maintained a strict internal hierarchy. Everything was planned, budgeted, and executed with military precision. They even had in-house trainers and quartermasters to keep their hunters sharp and well-equipped. Their speciality, retrieving kidnapped individuals, made them popular among corporate elites and outer rim nobles who would pay generously to have loved ones or VIPs returned safely, or at least discreetly. But their code of conduct was flexible. If the bounty payer wanted the target silenced instead of saved, House Benelex didn't ask too many questions. By the time of the Galactic Civil War, House Benelex was one of the more professional out-in-the-open guild chapters, with plenty of influence and large numbers of members. Still in their prime, they were the clean-cut, blaster-polished face of professional bounty hunting, with just enough ruthlessness to get the job done. House Neuvalis, the Prestige Hunters. While most bounty hunter guilds were in it for the credits, House Neuvalis was in it for the reputation. Based in the core worlds, House Neuvalis styled itself as an elite, honor-bound order of bounty hunters. They first appeared in Galaxy Guide 10, Bounty Hunters, where they were described as a guild that blended aristocracy with assassination. Many members of House Neuvalis came from wealthy families and viewed bounty hunting as a noble pursuit. They even wore distinctive uniforms and adhered to an internal code of ethics. To them, taking a bounty was a profession, and they wanted you to know it. Their ranks included duelists, strategists, and former military officers. They preferred clean captures and rarely took assassination contracts unless they could justify the target as dishonorable or dangerous to galactic stability. While other guilds worked for the Hutts, House Neuvalis was more likely to take contracts from wealthy corporate interests, core world governments, or the Empire. It was strongly aligned with the Empire, to the point that rebel privateers were encouraged to target Neuvalis ships. In the field, House Neuvalis used high-end gear and often operated in small, well-trained squads. They prized reputation above all else, meaning a botched mission or civilian casualty could get a hunter expelled from the house entirely. And unlike Crimson Nova or House Benelex, they actively avoided jobs involving slavery, spice trafficking, or collateral damage. They saw themselves as civilized professionals in a barbaric industry. House Neuvalis was founded in 10 BBY, well into the timeline of the Empire, and was one of the newest syndicates of the Bounty Hunters Guild. However, through its close ties to the Empire and high professionalism, it quickly became powerful. House Neuvalis hunters only accepted bounties greater than 20,000 credits, and the house guaranteed its clients that, if their hunters didn't come through within 1 year, House Neuvalis would repay the originally posted bounty, plus double. This made them very popular, especially among the Imperial elite. All told, House Neuvalis represented the rarest kind of bounty hunter, one who wanted respect more than fear. The Slaver Syndicate. The Slaver Syndicate was a loosely organized network of traffickers, mercenaries, and hunters for hire that specialized in capturing sentients for sale, often under the pretense of bounty contracts. Where most bounty hunter guilds at least pretended to operate under some form of code, this syndicate answered only to profit. Their bounties weren't always criminals. Sometimes they were debtors, or political dissidents, or workers who broke a contract with the wrong hut. Once a name landed on the Slaver Syndicate's list, that person usually vanished. Targets were dragged from their homes and loaded onto slave transports bound for the spice mines of Kessels, the refineries of Elysia, or the auction blocks of Zygeria. The Syndicate operated across the Outer Rim, particularly in hut-controlled space where anti-slavery laws were non-existent or unenforced. They worked closely with the Zygerian slave empire during its resurgence, and some chapters were even backed by the Black Sun Criminal Syndicate, creating a vicious web of trafficking, forced labor, and bounty hunting masquerading as law enforcement. Because they operated under the guise of legitimate contracts, Imperial authorities often looked the other way, especially when the targets were from marginalized systems. This gave the Syndicate a veneer of legality that made them even more dangerous than the rogue guilds like Crimson Nova. By the time of the New Republic, the Slaver Syndicate had fractured, its members scattered across the criminal underworld. But its legacy remained a stain on the history of bounty hunting, proof that the line between hunter and captor was never as clear as some wanted to believe. The Skine Bounty Hunter College. If there were a university for bounty hunters, and if that university was run by con artists, mercs, and power-hungry dropouts, it would be called the Skine Bounty Hunter College. Founded on the mid-rim planet Skine, this so-called college wasn't accredited by anyone. It wasn't even a school in the traditional sense. The Skine Bounty Hunter College was a guild of specialists that earned some extra credits by training new hunters. At its core, the college was a place where aspiring bounty hunters could receive basic training, access bounty boards, and buy gear, all in exchange for membership dues and course fees. It promised certification as a licensed bounty hunter and access to exclusive jobs. The college thrived, especially on backwater worlds where legitimate guilds rarely operated. For small-time hunters looking for an identity or a place to belong, it offered structure, networking, and, most importantly, legitimacy, even if it was self-declared. Members were a mixed bag: ex-military grunts, street enforcers, wannabe Mandalorians, and a rotating cast of elite instructors. The college offered modules on tracking, weapons maintenance, and negotiation, taught by some of the best bounty hunters in the field. Skine Bounty Hunter College produced enough successful hunters to gain attention from rival guilds. Some graduates went on to join the Bounty Hunters Guild, and others returned to Skine to teach, perpetuating the cycle. Even the Empire respected the Skine Bounty Hunter College, to the point that at least one Imperial governor sent some of their most elite stormtroopers for extra training there. The college remained intact and operating well into the New Republic era, surviving on reputation, hustle, and sheer skill. House Renliss, the Black Widows. House Renliss was noteworthy among the bounty hunter guild syndicates in that it exclusively recruited female hunters and it only accepted contracts on male targets. Renliss was one of the newer syndicates founded by two members of an Imperial deep cover security team, both women who had been left for dead by the rest of their team, all men. They only survived thanks to the help of a passing bounty hunter, another woman who led them to a safe house where they were able to recover. The Imperial spies chose to desert Imperial intelligence and found a sect of the Bounty Hunters Guild with their new comrade, recruiting female hunters and hunting male targets. The Renliss sisters, as the two founders renamed themselves, never revealed the motivation behind this policy, but many sources imply that it was a policy rooted in trauma. Their symbol, a stylized flame-like crest, was rarely seen, as House Renliss was selective, both in its membership and its contracts. Syndicate members were given plenty of attention, support services, and specialized training, making them highly effective and widely feared. House Renliss operated primarily in the coreward regions of the galaxy, as well as the corporate sector, hut space, and select rim sectors. It was willing to accept contracts on any man, but it most frequently worked for Imperial intelligence, with which the Renliss sisters retained some of their old ties. High-ranking directors in Imperial intelligence often hired Renliss hunters to take out their own operatives for a variety of reasons. It was also rumored that the wives of high-ranking Imperials hired House Renliss to kill their own husbands. Some salty male bounty hunters resented the very existence of House Renliss, seeing it as a desecration of their field. Others respected House Renliss and the potential it had, but regardless of what the males thought of it, House Renliss thrived during the Age of the Empire, and its growth showed no signs of slowing. House Paramexor, the Executioners. In a galaxy full of bounty hunters chasing smugglers, pirates, and political targets, House Paramexor hunted one thing: murderers. Specifically, Paramexor went after murderers who were considered too dangerous, too well connected, or too well hidden for local authorities to touch. They also made a point of never taking prisoners. They only ever killed their targets, avenging their victims blood for blood. That was Paramexor's speciality: lethal justice professionally delivered. House Paramexor was founded by a former military officer who, after being crippled, developed a deep love for life and a hatred for murderers. The house is consistently listed among the core houses of the Bounty Hunters Guild. They were deliberate, a cleanup crew for the galaxy's worst monsters. While other guilds chased credits, Paramexor was known for its moral selectivity. Accepting a contract meant committing fully, no second thoughts, no collateral damage. Once they were onto you, that was it. The job didn't end until the body was cold, or the hunter was. They often worked with planetary justice departments, private security firms, and occasionally even the Jedi Order during the pre-Clone Wars era. If a warlord or mass murderer fled to the Outer Rim, Paramexor would be the one to track them through 3 systems and bring them to justice. Paramexor hunters were trained in behavioral profiling, planetary law, infiltration, and advanced forensics. Over time, they developed a reputation within the guild as the executioners due to their insistence on killing their targets. House Paramexor grew in influence during the Galactic Civil War, becoming one of the guild's 10 most prominent syndicates. Murderers at large quickly learned to fear them, although many still didn't see them coming before it was too late. House Salaktori, the Old Guard. House Salaktori was one of the oldest and most influential syndicates. During the time of the Empire, it had been the top chapter of the guild for centuries. Salaktori only recruited what it deemed to be the galaxy's best bounty hunters, who were personally selected by the syndicate CEO for membership. This elite cadre made Salaktori prestigious and powerful, with a long history of successful hunts. Like the other powerful syndicates, Salaktori was very selective on the bounties its members took, only accepting imperial bounties of more than 10,000 credits and private or corporate bounties of more than 20,000 credits. Salaktori was loyal to the Empire, although it clashed with imperial officials over the treatment of its hunters on occasion, and also fighting with them over the assessment of collateral damage fines. Salaktori was most infamous, however, for how zealously it protected its members. The House Salaktori motto was, "We take care of our own, one way or another," and it lived up to this motto by exacting revenge on those who killed its members. No one who was responsible for the death of a House Salaktori hunter lived for more than a year after the incident, although Salaktori's connections ensured that all of these revenge slayings was ruled an accident. House Salaktori had its own creed, which was as follows: "Let the guild hereafter be unto you as your mother and father. Let this house stand with you as a friend in need. Let this home forever take pride in you as a lover who delights in your prowess. Those who bore you may betray the Empire tomorrow. He who in friendship stands by your side may slide the blade in all the easier. She who shares your sleep may seek to strangle you in it. After all forsake you, only your guild shall remain to fortify and protect you. Only your guild understands exactly who and what you are and dares to care about you just the same." This creed summed up House Salaktori: tight-knit, fiercely loyal, and ruthless. House Tresario, the Pirate Killers. House Tresario was very selective, only going after pirates. Big ships, big crews, and even bigger body counts. Founded by former Imperial Navy officers in 8 BBY, House Tresario was formed to counter large-scale pirate operations in the Mid and Outer Rims. Tresario hunters operated in teams, well-armed, tactically trained, and often supported by spacecraft. Tresario believed in one message: piracy wasn't profitable, at least not when they were around. House Tresario enjoyed strong working relationships with local planetary governments, trade guilds, and corporate defense fleets. They worked most closely with the Empire, with which their ex-Navy founders still had strong ties, and coordinated with the Imperial Navy in anti-pirate operations. During the Imperial era, House Tresario's scope widened a bit. They went from only accepting contracts on pirates and raiders to accepting any bounty over 15,000 credits, although pirates and raiders remained their speciality. In the New Republic era, their numbers dwindled, but the name still meant something. If pirates were whispering that Tresario had been hired, it usually meant one thing: you either got out of hyperspace or got blown out of it. Mantis Syndicate, the crowd control killers. The Mantis Syndicate was one of the 10 major houses within the Bounty Hunters Guild and earned its place by specializing in multi-target operations. They were blunt force professionals trained to subdue or wipe out entire groups of fugitives in a single operation. Very little is known about their origins, but according to entries in the Bounty Hunter Code, Mantis hunters were often deployed to end hostage crises, put down insurrections, or dismantle well-defended smuggler rings. Their contracts were about overwhelming force, deployed with military discipline and maximum efficiency. They preferred coordinated team efforts, using tactical droids, explosives, and battlefield suppression tech to control large zones. While most bounty hunters carried a single blaster and a jetpack, Mantis operatives arrived with heavy ordnance, surveillance drones, and assault transports. Their targets included militia leaders, rogue battalions, and criminal enclaves that were too fortified or too interconnected to be taken out by a single hunter. That made them popular with planetary security forces and hyperspace trade corporations, but unpopular with just about everyone else. When Mantis was deployed, the body count was expected to be high. During the Imperial era, they were known to collaborate with Imperial forces, taking joint contracts on insurgent cells and resistance groups. After the Battle of Endor, Mantis switched sides in the Galactic Civil War. While they had previously supported the Empire, they started accepting contracts from the New Republic, including against smaller Imperial remnant factions. Ragnar Syndicate, the Unorthodox Hunters. Lastly, the Ragnar Syndicate was a fairly loose-knit organization, allowing its hunters to take on extensive freelance contracts alongside their responsibilities to the Syndicate. Ragnar hired its hunters on a contract-by-contract basis, which led to Ragnar members being more independent than most other guild hunters. The Ragnar Syndicate primarily took Imperial contracts, and its members specialized in counter-terrorism, assassination, siege-breaking, and sabotage. Many of their missions were quasi-military in nature, and many Ragnar bounty hunters were really just mercenaries. The Ragnar Syndicate was known for deploying its hunters in pairs, usually consisting of one experienced hunter and one novice hunter. The idea was that this allowed novice hunters to receive field training without the danger of a solo mission, allowing the more experienced hunter to protect and train them. In turn, the more experienced hunter would have an extra set of hands for grunt work. Members of the Ragnar Syndicate were pretty strongly disliked by the rest of the Bounty Hunters Guild, primarily due to their mercenary tactics and semi-freelance status. Some guild hunters were even of the belief that the protection of the Bounty Hunters Creed didn't apply to members of the Ragnar Syndicate. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed that rundown of all the Bounty Hunter Syndicates in the Star Wars universe. Make sure you let us know in the comment section below which one is your favorite and why. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.